Yet. It might have had a technical foul there just as this first half was expiring.
Right from the opening tip, Caitlin Clark delivered a performance that instantly became the only story basketball fans could talk about. Welcome back to another Clark update. I hope you're having a fantastic day because today's video is filled with major updates you won't want to miss. Stay with me until the very end, and let's dive straight in. After picking up her 6th technical foul and a $1,000 fine, Clark had every reason to voice her frustration, but instead, she responded in a way that amazed everyone. Friday night in Indianapolis carried a different energy, the kind that made people stop everything just to watch history unfold. Very few players in basketball history had ever produced what Clark accomplished. By the final buzzer, the entire basketball world was still trying to process it all. She finished with 45 points, 2 blocks, 4 steals, and 10 assists, joining only 4 other professional players, men or women, to record such a remarkable stat line. Even more impressive, she achieved it in under 30 minutes while still playing with a minutes restriction. Analysts immediately compared the performance to legends like Michael Jordan and Luka Doncic, while social media struggled to describe what had just happened. For one unforgettable night, every conversation centered on Caitlin Clark, her historic display, what it meant for the record books, and where her incredible career could go next. If you're enjoying this coverage, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments because your support truly helps us grow. Everything changed in just 90 seconds. Less than 2 minutes into Indiana's game against the New York Liberty, Caitlin Clark collided with a hard screen from Liberty center Jonquel Jones and crashed to the floor. She looked for a foul call, but none came. After getting up and speaking to the nearest official, she was immediately assessed a technical foul before the game had truly settled. That 6th technical of the season also brought a $1,000 fine, leaving the player who had just joined one of basketball's rarest statistical groups only 2 technical fouls away from an automatic 1-game suspension. Meanwhile, highlights from her historic performance the previous night were still dominating social media when the league found its biggest attraction. That sudden shift raised a difficult question. How does a player make history on Friday and become the focus of discipline less than 24 hours later? Indiana still defeated the Liberty 108-88 behind Kelsey Mitchell's 33 points, earning an important road victory in a tightly contested playoff race. Yet the win was quickly overshadowed. Fans focused on the technical foul, the fine, and the countdown toward a suspension instead. After celebrating one of the greatest individual performances in women's basketball history, many supporters spent the following night tracking technical fouls rather than the final score. For those who had watched closely all season, this didn't feel like bad luck or unfortunate timing. It seemed like another step in a pattern that had been building for months, one controversial whistle after another. To understand why Saturday sparked such a strong reaction, you have to go back to June, when Clark received a technical foul against the Phoenix Mercury that many fans and commentators believed was questionable from the start. Most physical moments in basketball are quickly forgotten as officials let the game move on. This one wasn't. After reviewing the play, the WNBA chose to uphold Clark's technical foul instead of rescinding it, even though similar technicals involving other players had been overturned earlier in the season. The concern wasn't simply about one technical foul, but what the decision suggested about how Clark was being treated compared with everyone else on the court. That ruling immediately caught fans' attention. Within hours, screenshots spread across social media alongside side-by-side comparisons of players showing similar or greater frustration without receiving the same disciplinary outcome. One question continued to grow louder. Why was one player's technical rescinded while another's remained? By the time Clark picked up her 6th technical in July, many fans were no longer reacting to isolated calls. They were responding to a pattern they believed had been developing since the spring, documenting every disputed whistle through box scores, screenshots, and video clips. The June decision cost Clark more than a fine. It also caused many supporters to lose confidence in the league's consistency. As the debate expanded, it became harder to dismiss as simple online frustration, especially after Indiana head coach Stephanie White publicly addressed the issue. Speaking carefully, she acknowledged there needed to be discussions about handling technical fouls involving her own player more strategically. That statement showed the situation had become something the organization was actively managing rather than ignoring. When a head coach chooses her words so cautiously, it reflects how significant the issue has become inside the league. Meanwhile, national sports commentators also began examining Clark's treatment, bringing the discussion beyond WNBA circles and into mainstream sports coverage. In the span of a single week, Caitlin Clark went from being celebrated as the league's biggest attraction to becoming one of its most disciplined players. Once that contrast moved beyond WNBA-focused coverage into mainstream sports discussions, the league no longer controlled the narrative. The conversation began growing on its own, reaching even casual fans who had never paid attention to technical foul rules before, but were now questioning consistency and fairness. That kind of scrutiny carries far more weight than a few frustrated social media posts because it directly influences the league's public reputation. Looking at the technical foul standings only fuels the debate further. Clark is tied with Kalia Copper for second in the league behind Angel Reese, despite all three playing very different styles. Reese thrives through physical battles inside. Copper relentlessly attacks the basket, while Clark's game is built around passing, shooting, and floor spacing rather than constant contact. That comparison naturally raises more questions than answers. As a result, Clark's supporters have created an organized system to document every disputed technical foul. They monitor live box scores during games, collect video clips with timestamps, and compare her calls with similar situations involving other players. This has grown beyond emotional reactions into a detailed record that many view as a public fact-checking effort. Every new call adds another layer to that growing archive, increasing attention on each officiating decision. Even without an official campaign or spokesperson, that consistent documentation creates its own form of pressure simply because so many people are watching. The discussion also extends beyond officiating, bringing financial implications that deserve far more attention than they usually receive. Before the season began, the WNBA quietly revised its disciplinary system, raising the penalty for technical fouls 4 through 7 from $200 to $1,000 each. While the rule applies to every player, its impact is far greater on someone like Caitlin Clark, who has moved closer to the suspension threshold than almost anyone else in the league. For many observers, the amount of the fine isn't the real issue. Instead, they question what the system appears to prioritize. When the financial cost of reacting increases, but the officiating concerns remain unchanged, some supporters believe the responsibility shifts entirely onto the player. Clark, however, has consistently avoided making it about herself. Throughout the season, she has redirected the conversation away from individual calls and toward a broader solution, repeatedly advocating for the league to replace its part-time officiating model with full-time referees. That distinction is important because she isn't asking for special treatment or specific calls to be overturned. Her argument is that improving officiating consistency would benefit every player, making it a structural issue rather than a personal grievance. That perspective changes the debate from whether Clark receives too many technical fouls to whether the league's officiating system needs improvement. If she eventually reaches her 9th technical foul, the consequences are automatic: a 1-game suspension, a $1,500 fine, and no appeal that changes the outcome. While that would affect any team, it would be especially significant for the Indiana Fever, who remain in a competitive playoff race. Averaging nearly 21 points, 8 assists, and 4 rebounds per game, Clark is more than Indiana's top player. She is the engine of the Fever's offense, creating open opportunities for teammates and stretching defenses with a shooting range that forces opponents to adjust in ways few players can. Removing Caitlin Clark from the lineup would do far more than cost the Fever one player. During a crucial stretch where every game carries playoff implications, Indiana would be forced to reshape its entire offensive system with barely 48 hours to prepare. That's not the kind of adjustment a team can make smoothly without weeks or even months of planning. But the impact of a suspension wouldn't stop with the Fever. Throughout this season, Clark has delivered exactly what the WNBA has spent years trying to build: higher television ratings, larger crowds, and sustained national attention. Nearly every arena she visits sells out. Broadcasters consistently point to her games as major audience drivers, and the league has acknowledged that her presence has accelerated the sport's growth beyond any single promotional campaign. A suspension would therefore cost more than one game. It would temporarily remove one of the league's biggest attractions at a time when fan interest is at its highest. That possibility is no longer just theoretical. It's a real scenario sitting only 2 technical fouls away. As a result, every technical foul is now treated like its own storyline. Fans track live box scores, closely examine every interaction with officials, and wait to see whether each conversation with a referee results in another penalty. That constant level of attention creates pressure for everyone involved, including Clark herself. She competes with the passion and intensity expected from elite athletes, yet she must do so while knowing a suspension count is always in the background. Very few players are asked to manage their emotions under that level of public scrutiny, and those who do are usually the sport's biggest stars with the largest audiences and the greatest spotlight. All of this brings the focus back to Caitlin Clark. The argument isn't that legitimate technical fouls should be ignored or excused. Instead, many believe the situation has become far more complicated, with the margin for error shrinking at exactly the point when the stakes are higher than ever. Clark is playing some of the best basketball of her career, while the pressure surrounding her continues to grow for teammates, coaches, broadcasters, and the league alike. It raises an important question. Is it reasonable to expect the sport's most closely watched player to compete with so little room for mistakes while sitting just 2 technical fouls away from a suspension? The situation becomes even more challenging when considering everything she has already dealt with this season. Early injury concerns led Indiana's coaching staff to place her on a minutes restriction, while the physical contact she experiences each game has sparked ongoing discussion about officiating consistency. Add a disciplinary system with escalating fines, a suspension threshold drawing closer, and continuing calls for broader officiating improvements that remain publicly unanswered, and the pressure continues to build. What should have been one of the happiest stretches of Clark's career has instead become a balancing act between historic performances and growing disciplinary concerns. A week that began with a remarkable 45-point, 10-assist outing quickly transformed into a conversation centered on fines and the possibility of a suspension. That contrast is impossible to ignore. It creates the impression that the story has grown far beyond any single game or isolated moment. During a playoff race, no team wants its attention divided between competing for wins and monitoring a growing disciplinary storyline. Yet for many Fever fans, every game now involves more than just basketball. They're also watching the technical foul count, wondering whether the next whistle could completely change the season. That tension surrounds nearly every discussion involving Indiana, and it wasn't there a year ago. Many believe it has only intensified because those with the authority to address the issue have yet to provide a clear resolution. The July 18th fine, the June technical that remained in place, Clark's repeated call for full-time referees, the approaching suspension threshold, detailed fan documentation, and Stephanie White's careful public comments have all become pieces of the same ongoing debate. Ultimately, the conversation comes down to one central question. Will the WNBA directly respond to Caitlin Clark's repeated argument that officiating inconsistency is a structural problem requiring a structural solution, not through another statement or a quiet? So far, many see only silence and fines, and over time that combination begins to feel like a policy of its own. Meanwhile, fans continue tracking every controversial whistle. The discussion has expanded well beyond WNBA circles into mainstream sports media, and Clark has shown no indication that she intends to step away from the conversation she has consistently raised throughout the season. Pressure is now coming from 3 directions at once: the player, the media, and the fans. So far, the league office has not presented a response that eases the debate instead of adding to it. With Clark sitting only 2 technical fouls away from a suspension, the countdown is already underway. 2 more whistles would turn months of discussion into a real event, placing the league's most watched player on the bench during a playoff race. That wouldn't be viewed as an ordinary disciplinary action, but as the latest chapter in a story that many believe has been unfolding since June. Every remaining game matters for Indiana's postseason hopes, and the Fever's offense is built around Clark's ability to create opportunities and control the game. Whether another technical comes next week or much later, the question already hangs over every matchup. The league has repeatedly credited Clark with helping transform the sport's commercial success and national attention, yet it now sits only 2 technical fouls away from suspending that same player during one of the most important stretches of the season. Fans understand what that possibility could mean and continue watching to see how the league responds. At this stage, supporters have documented the calls, the media has amplified the discussion, and Clark has consistently made her position clear. The only question that remains is whether the WNBA will directly address those concerns or continue relying on fines while hoping the conversation eventually fades. What do you think? Does the WNBA owe Caitlin Clark a genuine response? Or is the league handling this situation the right way? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest basketball updates.